Hey everyone, it's Alexander Robinson. Welcome to the channel, and this is my review for The Marvels, which is the 33rd movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, a sequel to Captain Marvel, but also a follow-up to WandaVision and Ms. Marvel, the two Disney Plus miniseries. This movie opens up with the new leader of the Kree Empire, Dar-Benn, encountering a quantum band that she uses to open up some permanent jump points that lead back to her homeworld of Halos. It's not long before Nick Fury calls upon both Carol Danvers and Monica Rambeau to investigate these weird jump points from different parts of the galaxy. At the same time, back on Earth, Kamala Khan's bangle, which is identical to Dar-Benn's quantum band, starts reacting when Dar-Benn uses her quantum band. And before you know it, Carol Danvers, Kamala Khan, and Monica Rambeau all become entangled through their powers and switch whenever any two of them use their powers. So it's up to these three characters to not only stop the new leader of the Kree Empire, but also figure out how to actually be coordinated since they keep switching places whenever they use their powers. This is something that almost never happens for me. When it came to the release of The Marvels, I was both looking forward to this movie, but also just dreading its release. The reason I was excited to see The Marvels was because, outside of being an MCU fan, I really enjoyed everything that was being built up to this movie. Not only did I love both WandaVision and Ms. Marvel, but I also am a fan of Captain Marvel from 2019. I think that movie is far better than people give it credit for. It's a lot of fun, it's got some great music, I enjoy Brie Larson as Carol Danvers and was invested in her story. Have I rewatched this movie as much as I have with some of my other favorite MCU movies? No, I haven't, but I would actually rank this higher than most people would rank Captain Marvel. So those are the reasons why I was excited for The Marvels, but the reason I was dreading seeing this movie was because Phase 5 has just been a flat-out dumpster fire. I didn't like Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I hated Secret Invasion. And for those of you in the comments saying, isn't this movie also a follow-up to Secret Invasion? In terms of chronological order, yes, but there's nothing in that show that even plays into this movie, so you don't need to watch that shit. Sorry, I hate that show so much. But I was also dreading the supposed response to this movie, because Captain Marvel got review bombed to hell by a bunch of angry nerds that were mad at Brie Larson over something she never said. I don't think these people even remember why they hate Brie Larson. It was so stupid. And then all the talk about Marvel being in trouble, or The Marvels just being a flat-out terrible movie, to the point where a lot of people were just making fun of this movie before it came out. Like, right before seeing the movie, they were saying, oh, this is gonna be bad, or, oh, this movie's gonna be a joke. Like, y'all went into this wanting to hate it. You already had your mindset on how you're gonna respond to this movie, and I can't take you seriously. But that's other people. What about me? What did I think about The Marvels? Well, despite all of what I just said, I thought this was a lot of fun. I won't say this is a masterpiece per se, but it didn't need to be one. It was a lot of fun, and there's a lot that I admire about it. The biggest thing that holds The Marvels together and makes this a fun movie is the dynamic between the three main characters. All three of these actresses do a really good job, and when it comes to Brie Larson as Carol Danvers, I actually thought she was better in this movie than she was in Captain Marvel. I've never been subscribed to the belief that Brie Larson was miscast as Carol Danvers, because in the first Captain Marvel, she was pretty much under Kree control. Like, they had brainwashed her, they'd manipulated her, and wiped out all of her memories on Earth, so she has to basically become herself again. And because in this movie, Carol Danvers is actually herself, Brie Larson has a lot more freedom this time around, and I thought she was really good. Teyonah Parris plays Monica Rambeau from WandaVision, and I thought she was just as good as she was in WandaVision, though I have to admit there were a few parts of the script that kind of brought this character down. Teyonah Parris still gives a really good performance, but a lot of the script has Monica Rambeau delivering exposition throughout, and in this movie there's a follow-up to a pretty small yet important plot point introduced in WandaVision. If you remember WandaVision, there were certain points throughout that show where Captain Marvel is mentioned in front of Monica Rambeau, and she kind of shrugs it off and tries to ignore Captain Marvel. You get the impression that these two characters had a falling out between the events of Captain Marvel and WandaVision. So in this movie, they follow up on that, but I thought it was kind of underwhelming and honestly pretty lame. But yeah, that was disappointing. But overall, Teyonah Parris still does a really good job, but the highlight of the movie is Iman Vellani as Kamala Khan. She really is the bright star in the Marvel Cinematic Universe right now. She is just as charismatic in this movie as she was in Ms. Marvel, and there are 3 scenes in this movie where Kamala Khan finds out that Carol Danvers was in her house. She is in the same room as Carol Danvers for the first time, and both her and Carol have a proper introduction. And in those 3 scenes, Iman Vellani really makes the most of it. Like, she is just so good, and what they hint at the end of the movie makes me even more excited for the future of this character. The action scenes are a lot of fun. Nia DaCosta is the director of this movie, and she directed the sequel to the original Candyman, simply called Candyman. And she comes up with a lot of creative action scenes, considering that these 3 characters are switching places whenever they use their powers. There's some great shots throughout this movie. It's really well directed overall. In fact, I'd say Nia DaCosta's direction is more confident in this movie than the direction of the 2 directors of Captain Marvel. And the special effects are much better this time around than they were in something like Secret Invasion or Quantumania. As we all know, this movie got delayed from July to November, and I guess they had enough time to work out the special effects. I mean, there are some shoddy moments throughout. There's one scene where there's a Flurkin walking around that looks so bad. It doesn't even look like it's properly animated. And then there's that one shot in the trailers that everyone points to as being identical to the shot in Jaws 3D. You know, that shot. In context of the movie, it actually doesn't look too bad. One thing that I found to be a complete breath of fresh air for this movie is the runtime. This movie is the shortest Marvel Cinematic Universe film at 1 hour and 45 minutes. That's right, a superhero movie that's under 2 hours. That is such a rarity, and I welcome that. That being said, though, some of the problems that this movie has because of the short runtime is that there's a lot of scenes that are delivered through exposition. We don't get time to develop these sequences, and we also don't get enough time to develop the villain of the movie, played by Zawe Ashton, who I just found to be pretty generic. I mean, I'll say this, I actually think she's a better Kree villain than Ronan was in Guardians of the Galaxy, because I actually understood why she was doing the things that she was doing. She didn't come across as petty the way Ronan did, so I just thought, okay, I don't approve of what you're doing, but at least I know what you're doing and why. At the same time, she didn't feel like that much of a threat to the heroes, and a lot of her dialogue is just cliched villain monologues, which got really old really fast. And I think we just have to come to the conclusion that the Kree are never interesting in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Every time the Kree show up, they are probably one of the worst aspects of the MCU. Ronan was the worst part of Guardians of the Galaxy, and Dar-Benn is the worst part of this movie, The Marvels. I just think we need to abandon the Kree from this point on. All that being said, though, I had a lot of fun with this movie. When I did my YouTube Shorts reaction, I may have given the impression that I flat out love this movie, and I do like it a lot, but it's not flawless. So if I were to give this a rating right now, I would say it's good, but not great. If you're one of those people that was making fun of this movie before going into it, then you should not be wasting your time with this. At this point, you're the moron going into a movie that you know you're going to hate. But if you were looking forward to this, then you'll get a lot of fun out of it. Considering how lame Phase 5 has been so far, this was a nice way to end the year. And yes, I know there's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which I do love, and I think that's a much better movie than The Marvels. And And I know there's also Loki Season 2, but I haven't watched that show yet, mainly because of how bad Secret Invasion was. I'll get around to Loki Season 2 eventually, that way I can give you my own thoughts on that season, but for right now, I really enjoyed The Marvels. I'm actually quite sad that this movie is flopping at the box office, but I see this having a life later on. I look at this movie the way I look at both Birds of Prey and Blue Beetle. They're two movies that didn't do well in theaters, but as time has gone on, and we've seen this with Birds of Prey, it's gone on to become an underrated fan favorite of the genre. So I think The Marvels will go down this route as well, because a lot of people seem to be really liking it, and I am one of those people. And there you go, that's my review for The Marvels. I hope you enjoyed it, and now I want to know what you guys think about the movie. If you've seen it, what did you think? Whatever the case may be, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell button to get notifications. You can also follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Letterboxd, Threads. I'll see you guys in the next video, but until then, have a good day, and take care of yourselves.